everybody, hope all is well with you. I just finished changing my guitar strings. They are all shiny and sparkly and new and ringing out, and I changed them because I'm getting ready for a big show. I will be making a video about getting ready for that show and showing parts of that show. I'm going to make that video for you, and that should be coming up in the next couple of weeks. For today, I want to tell you about this book that I'm reading by Bob Dylan called The Philosophy of Modern Song. At the end of this video, stay tuned for an oldie but goodie song called Snow Globe, which is about the winter because it is snowing out, and it's also one of the songs I'm going to play in the show coming up. So let's go outside for a walk in the woods in the winter, and I'll tell you all about the book. And remember, stay tuned for that song at the end. Oh my gosh, you guys, it is windy and cold out here. The pine trees are just blowing and storming, and as you can see, there's lots of snow on the ground. It's really pretty. I'll show you some of the branches up there are really, really pretty. So about the book, which was very good, I recommend it. It was started by Bob Dylan in 2010. It has about 70 essays on songs, about 70 songs. And they're all modern songs from starting in the 50s, really until maybe the 1900s. He really doesn't go into modern day songs that much. There are lots of pictures, and there's borders around each of the pages that makes it very festive feeling. As you may know, he is a Nobel Prize winner for literature. His writing, of course, is very good. He's a good songwriter. So the feeling of the writing is kind of groovy and hipster, and it makes you feel like you have maybe a little bit of an insight into his mind, which is very interesting. With that said, the writing style is very free-form, almost stream of consciousness, and a little repetitive because he fully explores each of his ideas. So that makes it for reading a lot less factual reading. It makes it for almost creative reading. I should add there's a little bit of foul language if that bothers you, just a little bit here and there. I made a list of some of the songs that I know because I don't know all the 70 songs that he analyzes, but I know Tutti Frutti by Little Richard, My Generation by The Who, Mac the Knife by Kurt Weill, On the Road Again, Willie Nelson, Your Cheatin' Heart, Hank Williams, Blue Suede Shoes, Carl Perkins, Black Magic Woman, Santana, and By the Time I Get to Phoenix by Jimmy Webb. My guess is that you would probably know a few more on there too, and even if you don't, you can look them up. Usually they're on YouTube, and find out, listen to it and see what Bob Dylan thinks about them also. I should probably put a little disclaimer here. I'm not that big of a fan of Bob Dylan's, believe it or not. Mostly because, as a listener, I really like to like the artist. I like to be inspired by the artist in addition to their work. And I like to like that they have a nice personality or are, inspiring. I find Bob Dylan to be a little on the, I don't want to say obnoxious side, but maybe that was his appeal at that time, is that he was sort of rebellious at that time. However, his writings, they're very charming, very insightful, and I feel really like a flip side of him as a performer. So that's a very good part of this book, is you're sort of seeing another side of Bob Dylan. As a songwriter, it's interesting to hear his insights about the songs. I mean, it's definitely interesting. One thing is that his insights are coming from a cerebral place, an analytical, intelligent place, whereas I feel that songwriting and music come from an ethereal place, from in the clouds, from a little certain amount of mysticism to it. So I don't really feel like he addressed that part, but maybe that's something that someone who's not a songwriter would not be familiar with, and that's why maybe he didn't talk about it. I don't know. As I mentioned, the tone of the book is kind of hipster and groovy, and a little bit in an exclusionary way, but also in a way where you feel like, well, I just read a book by Bob Dylan, you know, I'm cool too. So he is a little bit of inclusive, but just sort of keeps you at arm's length to maintain his very groovy hip position, which I suppose one would as a writer. You're sort of the authority at the time. But I would have to say that there's a big element of being hip. I think if I were to want to improve the book, I would put captions under the pictures. There are no captions, although some of the personalities are pretty obvious, like Elvis and things like that. And also, I hope that he does a volume 2, because there's so many songs, and I think he could, it would be great to hear more about what he has to say. Covered blue in winter ice, and the window of the shop is like a magic show. See the pretty ball of glass, see the pretty globe of snow. Snow globe, tiny little world unknown. See the people in their ice skates soar on their make-believe and frozen ponds. All the troubles of the world are solved when we shake it and the snowflakes fall. On the storefront is a red and gold doorway. You enter and you see the lovely things, all in ribbons and bows ready